Long Beach Local News presents Bill at Phil's, brought to you by Phil Traney's Fine Food, Spirits, and Entertainment. 562-426-3668, located at 3490 Long Beach Boulevard, Long Beach.
3, 2. Hello everyone, Bill Lovelace with Long Beach Local News, and thank you for joining us on our second edition of Bill at Phil's. That's Phil Traney's restaurant here on Long Beach Boulevard, just north of Willow. And we're going to talk to one of my favorite people in the world, one of my mentors, Elise Kim. She's the CEO and founder of Athletes and Entertainers for Kids, and also 911 for Kids. We're going to talk about all the... Oh, wait a second. Our waitress, our server Kathy's here, and she's got our lunch, Elise.
Oh my goodness.
That is the tomato, egg, chicken, bacon,
Oh my gosh.
and crumpled blue cheese. And that's our house, our balsamic vinaigrette to go with it.
All right. And what do you have for me, Kathy?
I have the chicken piccata for you.
You have the chicken piccata.
The chicken piccata. And that
The
is
healthy
with mushrooms
version.
and capers and a lemon butter wine sauce. And then, of course, you have the vegetable, but you prefer the spinach, so I gave you spinach instead of a starch.
But doesn't this come with pasta usually?
It does.
It does,
Ooh,
you can, whichever you prefer.
I'm just doing Weight Watchers, and so
Well,
I watch what I eat here. And
And
she
that's
does too.
wonderful. Is
would
that
you care for ground pepper on your salad?
just a little?
Just
Thank
a
you.
little?
Yes.
Okay. Excuse me, I don't mean to pause.
It's okay.
That's
I'll have a little
perfect.
too.
All right. Everywhere or just the vegetables?
Perfect. Thank you, Kathy.
All right. Enjoy very much.
You know, I'm an amateur chef, and this chicken looks absolutely splendid. And the way that they cook the vegetables, it's still
Still
so
fresh with
beautifully.
you.
Yes.
Well, Phil's known for creative cuisine. He grew up in an Italian restaurant background in San Pedro, Traney's Majestic. But he does great spins on fish and chicken and jambalaya.
Oh my
just all
goodness.
sorts of good stuff. He's helped me lose the weight because every time he knows exactly what I love. And but we'll talk about Phil and stuff a little later.
Okay.
I want to talk about you
All right.
because I met Elise back in 1986, I think. I was working for KRLA Radio, and they had me. I was in promotions. They said, "We need you to do an event. It's something called Athletes and Entertainers for Kids." I think was it a Christmas thing or not, or is it? You had a band. I mean, you had all sorts of people.
We used to have events every single month and multiple times, and it could have been a number of different events. But the Christmas event was definitely a big event, and we used to have it several in Los Angeles, in Orange County, and also in Northern California.
Wow,
Yes, with Ronnie Lott and the 49ers up there.
Bonnie Lott and Howie Long too.
Howie Long is my co-founder, and our original meeting started out at the Aaron Spelling production boardroom.
Oh, really?
Yes. So
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And so I worked a few years with you back then, and then I lost contact. I was very busy with family and building my DJ business. And then I reunited with you back, 18, 20 years ago. And
When
since
we
then
were
you had
10.
evolved. Yeah, and since then you had evolved into a new branch of Athletes and Entertainers for Kids, and that was 911 for Kids.
Yes.
And so the first thing I worked with you on was the golf tournament, and it was the Tim Brown, Jim Hill golf tournament at the time.
Yes.
And that was a lot of fun. And you said, Bill, I want you to be one of our spokespeople, our offstage MC.
Yes.
And a lot of times we had Christine Devine from Fox 11 News. She was our main MC.
You were our official voice
That's
of the
what you called
charity.
me. That's right.
The official voice.
That's right. And that's funny because everyone said I had a face for radio. Anyway, I cracked myself up.
Oh yes.
So, not getting too far ahead, it evolved into so many different things. And prior to me rejoining with you, you worked with Shaquille O'Neal.
Yes, yes.
Tell our viewers about that.
Okay, well, I had been working with Shaquille's agent, Leonard Armato, who now heads up, I think, the AVP, the Association of Volleyball Professionals. And he wanted to have a strategic plan and effort for Shaq's community outreach and service in the community. So I remember we flew back to Windermere, Florida, where Shaq first started in the NBA. And when we arrived at his house, he had gazillions of Easter baskets that he was stuffing. Yes. And so he would personally get all these Easter baskets together for the children from local community groups. And one of the other things he used to do is he would take around roses and candy to the women's hospital for all the moms.
Wow.
And,
I never knew that about him.
Yeah. He really had a genuine heart. It wasn't a manufactured media ploy or PR ploy. He actually did many of the things himself.
And it wasn't a PR ploy, Elise, because I didn't hear about it.
Yeah.
He did it out of the kindness of his heart.
Yes,
And
he's always
he's a big
been
guy,
like
so
that.
he's probably have a big heart.
But he's always been very warm and friendly, especially to children. But he loves his mom, Lucille.
I know.
And so anytime there's any moms around or, especially the elderly, so kind. He's one of the kindest athletes or
And you've
entertainers
worked a
I've worked
lot.
with.
I'm going to back up just a sec because I didn't mention your USC connection. USC, you worked for USC prior to
Yes.
starting all this, right?
Yes.
What did you do at USC?
Well, one of the first projects that I was working on was the women's basketball team. Back when we acquired Cheryl Miller, the McGee twins, and Rhonda Wyndham. Yeah. So I didn't know much about women's athletics. I knew more about men's athletics, but I knew an outstanding individual or situation where you could acquire quite a bit of media. And when I first started, there wasn't any coverage of women's basketball at that time. So I would pack cookie bags and press kits, and I would go out at like 4 a.m. to go to all the radio stations, and I was on Rick D's in the morning with Coach Charlie Wright, and would talk about the women's basketball team and other athletic activities that were going on. But then in the afternoon, I went to the TV stations and hand-delivered goodies and press kits. And
Schmoozing
then,
them.
yeah, and then same thing with the print, when there used to be all
when
that.
they used to be print before social media.
But, and that helped to grow our press table for the women's basketball coverage. And then we were off to our first national championship Final Four in Norfolk, Virginia. And Jim Hill and all the major networks came out to cover that, that first national championship. And they didn't have all the same rules as they do with the men's Final Four. So there's a cooling off period after you play the game. And the interesting thing is there wasn't those rules for the women's basketball.
Right.
So Jim Hill says, I'm gonna leave if I don't get to talk to the team right now.
Oh boy.
So I thought, I don't think I'm gonna get in trouble. So anyway, the NCAA gals were not really happy with me, but I said, I will lose all the LA media if I don't bring the team out. So it's funny because consequently the next year, they had rules. They said, and it was like, we want Miss Kim to understand these cool-off rules now that.
And it's amazing. So it's quite a history with SC and you, and I didn't realize that. I know a lot about you. I didn't know that part.
Yeah. So I mean, with Cheryl, because she, you know, she had the personality, the talent, and all, you know, the unique things to really, you know, gain a lot of attention. So I had told the men's athletic department, or the sports information, I said, we're going to get Cheryl Miller on the cover of Sports Illustrated. And they said, right. But I spent the time with Roger Jackson, Curry Kirkpatrick, and all the old-time writers. And when they did the basketball preview for college, they did include Cheryl in that.
And she was on the cover?
Yes, with the two other top.
So we're going to fast forward
athletes.
to another cover of Sports Illustrated. I think 2 times, one of your best friends, and she's become a really good friend of mine, and that's Kathy Ireland.
Yes.
You know, and she was swimsuit model on the cover of Sports Illustrated back in the 80s, I think 2 times, right?
Yes.
And then most recently, in the last 10 years, she was on the cover of Forbes magazine.
Multiple times, yes.
Oh,
yes.
I didn't know. I just have one autograph covered, and that's what was fun getting reconnected with you, is because I got to work with, number one, you, and in turn, you gave me the opportunity to help me with my MC skills. You know, I've never really been around a lot of the big wig celebrities, and a lot of them are just like us. You know, they put their pants on the same way we do.
Exactly.
You know, and speaking of Kathy, I have a picture that I brought, and
that's at North Orange Christian Church.
Yeah, tell everybody
for
what
Kathy.
we do what we did before COVID every Christmas.
Okay, so every year since 1986, we have had the Children's Christmas celebration, and it started out in East LA at White Memorial Hospital. And we had 100 kids and parents, and it was very simple then. We only had cupcakes and candy and punch and water, and if you were diabetic, you were in big trouble. Okay. But the great thing about that is we had Lakers, we had the LA Raiders, we had Miss America, we had Jim Hill and a number of sportscasters, and we've had this event ever since, except for a few COVID years. But then it moved to the Century Plaza Hotel, and the Weston family were absolutely phenomenal. They provided the ballroom, they provided this amazing buffet and gift bags for all the children, and we had a number of holiday activities and entertainment, and the television and film celebrities who would come out. It was pretty amazing.
When I reconnected with you, I think we had it in Industry Hills.
Yes.
A few years.
At Nestle's ice cream.
Yeah, it was that big hotel. The golf course.
Oh, okay. That was the
golf. I'm sorry, that was the golf tournament.
Yes.
So many things she's done, and I've done a lot with her, and so it's hard to keep track of them. But the Christmas thing, we'll touch on that real quick. And Kathy's come out many years with you with that.
Yes.
Another thing that branched off with Kathy was the mentor tea. You have to talk about that.
Yes. Okay. So in 1990, in our efforts to learn as much about the community-based organizations and individual groups that were lacking service, we found out that girls who single teen mothers were one of the least served groups. And so we decided we were going to start an event to address that particular group, and it was the Kathy Ireland Mentor Program, or Mentor Tea for single teen moms, and we wanted to give them a less institutional type of program. So it was more of a party and like a baby shower situation.
But also you had professionals come
Right.
in and help them write resumes.
Right, and so that was, we used that to, the social part to kind of take the edge off of the institutional side, and that's when we had doctors who would talk about women's health care prevention, toddler care. We had finance people that talked about financial planning and just basic banking and how to apply for an apartment or...
And what's golden about this is
Buy a car.
all those professionals volunteered.
Yes.
You didn't have to pay them.
We've always had that, yeah.
Everyone came out and just volunteered from the kindness, and it's amazing. It's amazing what you have done, and Kathy and all the other folks that you've worked with over the years. I've had a great time. It's been a great run. Met a lot of great people. Scott Crockett, great drummer.
Yes.
All these other, musicians.
Like Danny Seraphine.
Oh, Danny Seraphine's right here.
From Chicago, the original drummer from
I have his
Chicago.
book over there.
Oh, uh-huh.
Yeah, and that's Danny Seraphine.
Well,
he's the co-founder and original drummer from Chicago.
Yes, he's legendary in the rock and roll world.
We're going to get back to, but drumming is a key. I love drummers, and so does Elise, and she was married to Mark. This is Mark Nelson's hat.
Nelson.
Mark was a drummer for Nick Glider, Hot Child in the City. He was on American Bandstand. He started out at Guitar Center, if my memory serves me,
yes, uh-huh.
On
After
the floor.
his artist
and
years,
and then he went up to management
He went all the way to the top, yes.
at
yeah.
Guitar Center.
And
Then he went to DW, right?
well,
No,
then
you tell me.
Okay, so he had a 20-plus year career at Guitar Center, went from salesperson to top salesperson to all the way up to executive VP, and then Fender Music asked him to run their percussion division, KMC, and he did that, which included Gretsch drums and our good friend Fred Gretsch. And then Fender went ahead and sold the KMC brands to DW drums.
Okay.
And so when the Lombardi family went ahead and acquired that, as I remember, Mark and I had just started dating, was 2014, and I would listen to these wonderful conversations between Chris Lombardi and Mark, and I said, you're going to end up working for them because they just sound like such a great group. And so the only problem was Mark lived in Palos Verdes, and the corporate offices were in Oxnard. So he drove that every day for a year. And then one of his other good friends of over 30 years, Jay Wanamaker, had just been named CEO of Roland Music. Yeah. And so Jay was calling every day and
trying to get him?
Yes. So the commute issue was getting to be a huge
and
problem.
Roland's just in Commerce.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was easy, but I think my husband was so unique in that he came from a perspective of being an artist, okay, then being part of the whole instrument industry, and then becoming an executive, but with that sensitivity, with how does, in fact, when he retired, Tony Price was saying,
Tony's a great guy.
Tony Price was saying, Mark Nelson taught America how to buy drums, or he was instrumental,
He was great at the NAMM show, and we connected a few times at the NAMM show. It was so, because I love music, I play harmonica and sing a little bit, and I used to go to the NAMM show all the time and see Mark briefly because he was always so busy. But just a phenomenal guy. I went one year to your Christmas party, and they had all these Roland guys playing Christmas music, and I played the harmonica with them. It was so much fun. But Mark and I shared a lot of the same likes in music. King Crimson, UK, Gentle Giant. These are all progressive rock bands, if you don't know.
Stone Violet.
Stone Temple Pilots.
yes.
And Foo Fighters.
Yes.
Just just a phenomenal guy, but and I miss him dearly, and I know you do too. And thanks for touching on that. So, Tim Brown, the golf tournament.
Yes.
Another thing I volunteered for that you lassoed me into. Those were so much fun.
So in 1994, when Howie Long retired and was moving to Virginia, he was thinking who would be his, the best successor. And this young, very positive Heisman Trophy winner, Tim Brown, who just came from Notre Dame, yes, and very faith-based and very community-based. And Howie just basically, from what I understand, was in the locker room and cornered Tim and said, "You're taking over."
I remember you telling me this one.
And he goes, "Okay, sir." So, but
and Tim lives in Tennessee, or not, Texas, and he would come out every year.
Oh, yes, he's
and,
still,
and he, super nice guy.
And his wife's from Los Angeles, Cherise.
That's right, Cherise.
So,
Sister Kathy would come out. All these great people. And then Tim would with your help too, was able to bring all these ex-Raiders in. I met everybody in the Sun and other celebrities, and fun time at the golf tournaments, and it raised a lot of money.
Yes, and it was not only Raiders, but Hall of Famers from all different sport teams.
Oh yeah, the 49, and I mean,
from baseball, from hockey.
A local Long Beach guy, Buddy Rich, Bobby Gritch.
Oh yeah,
he was there. Mark Platt, who's a friend of mine, he frequents Phil trainees all the time. Mark Platt, Platt Security, he was a big sponsor. I've ran into him many times at the golf tournaments. It's just a wide array of people, and it would go back into educating children about the use of 911.
Yes.
Talk about it.
Okay. So 911 was created established in the United States in 1969 at Haleyville, Alabama. And the focus was on the technology and the operations, but they forgot one group, the end user.
Right.
So as 911 services progressed, the number of misuse and non-emergency calls just kept rising. And right now in the United States, it's at a level of 50% and over, that calls that go to 911, over 50% are not emergencies.
Right.
So the misuse is really high, going from people not calling the right department, they'll call 911 for information, to people trying to test their phones, to kids just being curious, or the elderly being lonely. So it's the effort to reduce the 911 misuse has to be through public education. So in 1990, the combination of both public and private entities that govern 911 said we need to have a 911 public education program that's easy to use, that has a long shelf life, and they came up with a great edutainment video with the supporting other materials to take out into the community. And that's what 911 for Kids is that they have this great comprehensive program that can be used by virtually anyone. And the reason why we like Athletes and Entertainers for Kids, like 911 for Kids, the education program, is that 911 affects everyone, offends no one, and even if you hate kids, a child can save your life. Because there's a number of nonprofit organizations. Someone will say, well, I don't care about animals. I don't care about the aged.
Everyone
I don't
needs
care about,
911 and uses it.
Yes.
And you know what's great? and I've worked with you on these too, is you give out awards
Yes.
to these kids. And I remember the sound bites you'd send me, and I'd have to edit them, and these are actual 911 calls.
Yes.
We bring these kids up and give them
Yes.
recognition and awards, and it was just, I mean, people don't realize it, but yeah, I mean, you've done a lot for that industry, and a lot of law enforcement works with you. In fact, Lieutenant Randy Hausauer, retired Long Beach lieutenant, has worked with you for years, old friend of mine. CHP comes out, CAL FIRE.
Oh yeah,
All
you know
those
what
folks.
we've had with CHP, beginning with Mike Brown, that commissioner, to Warren Stanley, to Joe Farrow, is that we've had several decades of really wonderful CHP commissioners
Right.
that have been involved with our organization. And it's great because with law enforcement, it's not only CHP, but police department, sheriffs, and then, as you mentioned, the firefighters, and then emergency medical response. And, you know, very importantly, the schools, the
Right.
superintendent of the California Department of Education, and all these California public and private schools, because that is our audience that we
Right.
preach this message to.
Well, it's just amazing what you have done and your team. I
Yes.
guess I'm on the team because I've worked
Yes,
with you so
can't
many
do
years.
it without the team. We wouldn't survive without amazing people like yourself that dedicate and contribute a gazillion hours of their
And it was,
personal
a lot
time.
of times it was like, oh my god. But most of the time it was just a blessing, And I met your team, the gals that work in the office, and they work tirelessly on these events. She's the best event planner in the world, and now you're kind of semi-retired, or can we
Well-
expect something in the future?
Since my husband has passed, I'm taking some time to kind of regroup, but they keep pulling
You
me
moved
back
back
in.
to Long Beach too, right?
Yes. So they keep pulling me back in. So we have, events each year that we're working. We're starting with the Christmas event already.
Oh, we're going to do that, okay.
Yes.
Now just remember one thing.
Yes.
Make sure you give me it's always the first Saturday, right?
Yes.
Of December. So I want to get back in that.
Yes,
And
we
I
need
had some
your
health
voice.
issues, and
Yes.
and I'm back to normal.
We need your voice and your singing and your
Oh,
talent.
and my magic. Remember I did
Yes,
magic for Kathy last time?
yes.
She was just, anyway, so, and also you're back in Long Beach.
Yes.
And you have my number. So if
Yes.
you need anything,
Oh, thank
I have
you
a
so
truck.
much.
I can help you move things and all that.
Well,
good
don't
stuff.
say that, because I'll be calling all the time. We're always moving something.
No, Elise, thanks so much for joining us. I'm going to give you a big hug and a kiss. Mwah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us on Long Beach Local News and Bill at Phil's, Phil Trainings. We're going to cut the camera off and we're going to eat because I'm hungry.
Yes.
Yes.
I can't wait to try
All right,
everything.
for now, this is Bill Lovelace and Elise Kim for Bill and Phil's at Phil Trainings.
Long Beach Local News presents Bill at Phil's, brought to you by Phil Trainey's Fine Food, Spirits, and Entertainment. 562-426-3668, located at 3490 Long Beach Boulevard, Long Beach.